Hi, everyone. It's Pastor Marvin at First Presbyterian Church in Columbia, Missouri, with a return of the Spirit of Summer Word, returning this Tuesday, August 17th, because I've been on vacation for 2 weeks. And the word for today is sand, because our family has been at the beach for the last 2 weeks. 1 week visiting with my side of the family, 1 week visiting with my wife's side of the family. And I noticed something about the sand in the house that we were staying at while I was visiting with my in-laws. It's a house on Ocean Isle Beach in North Carolina. It's a narrow section of beach at the west end of the island. And so the house has a little walkway over the sand dunes and some stairs down to the beach. And this year, also the house has on the other side of the street a dock where you can get access to the little saltwater creek that separates the beach from the mainland. So when we were there 4 years ago, well, the difference between then and now is now when you walk down the stairs on the ocean side at high tide, the water is lapping underneath the stairs. There's no beach basically. And when you go over on the other side of the road to the dock on the creek at low tide, the dock is completely grounded. It's just sitting on sand. So the island, you can look at it in one of two ways. The island is retreating toward the mainland, or you could say that the sand is being lost on the beach side of the island and it's being gained on the creek side of the island, on the back side of the island. And this is because these barrier islands, really, they're just overgrown sandbars. They're like the bigger versions of a sandbar that you'll see in the Missouri River when the river flow gets low in the summertime. And they migrate, they move around. The sand builds up and then it gets washed away based on whatever the ocean is doing. And so it's kind of risky to build on a barrier island because it's made out of sand. The foundation is not stable, it's shifting around you all the time. It's lucrative because people love to go to the beach, but you're also taking a big risk, especially with hurricanes and with nor'easters in the wintertime. And this reminded me of a thing that Jesus said once in the Bible. It's in the Gospel of Matthew, which is the first book of the New Testament, if you're looking for it. And Jesus gives a long sermon in the Gospel of Matthew. It's called the Sermon on the Mount because he preached on a mountaintop. It's chapters 5, 6, and 7. And he ends that sermon by saying, anyone who hears my words and acts on them is like a man who built a house on a rock foundation. The storm came, the winds and waves beat against the house, but the house stood. But if you hear my words and don't listen to them, that's like a man who builds a house on sand. And the wind comes and the waves beat against the house and the house falls down. And great is the fall of the house. So this is, I thought about this in the context of literally vacationing in a house built on sand. And so two questions or two thoughts come to mind. First is that Jesus doesn't say that if you follow me, there's not going to be any storms. Jesus assumes that storms are going to happen. It's a question of whether you can weather the storms that life throws at you. And the way that you weather the storms that life throws at you is by acting on what Jesus tells you to do. And so what does he tell you to do? So I spent a little time this afternoon rereading the Sermon on the Mount, all those things that Jesus tells the people that are listening to him to do. And it's a really long list, and it's probably one of these things maybe kind of hits a little too close to home. But Jesus says, forgive. And if you've done wrong, seek forgiveness from the person you've wronged. Jesus says, control the feelings of lust and anger that bubble up in you. We can't control whatever thoughts are passing through our mind at a particular moment, but we can choose whether to give attention to that thought and let it grow and grow. Jesus says, love indiscriminately. Love everybody. Do good even for people who have done you wrong. Jesus says, be generous. He says, share. He says, don't be greedy. In the sermon, Jesus says, don't worry. He says, don't worry. Don't be anxious. God loves you and God cares for you. Don't be judgmental, Jesus says. You point at somebody, there's three fingers pointing back at you. And I think this is the most important one. It's the golden rule. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Or the way it says it in one of the older versions of the Bible. Do unto others as others would as you would have others do unto you. Listen to these things and do them, and you're building a life on a foundation that can't be disturbed, because you're building your life on a foundation that is Jesus Christ. So, building a house, a literal house on sand, you might be able to rent it. It does have nice views. It may pay off. But when it comes to building a life, the one place you need to build it is on the words and the teachings of Jesus Christ. So I have an invitation for you. I want you to read Matthew 5, 6, and 7 this week. Maybe you read chapter 5 today, chapter 6 tomorrow, chapter 7 on Thursday. And listen to those things that really impact you, and begin to do those things. So this is the Spirit of Summer word for Tuesday, August 17th. Thanks for taking some time with me today.